What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Thursday edition of Unpaved with Sean Salisbury. I am Adam Sager. We get 3 game threes today in baseball. We'll talk about that in just a second. But to close up our poll question from yesterday, Sean, who should start in place of Joe Flacco? Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, or nobody but still keep starting Joe Flacco? Stayed about the same.
All that noise. What's all that noise I'm hearing, brother? What's all that noise I'm hearing? That ain't you or me, is it? Is it there's some technology sound? I feel like paper's ripping or somebody's breathing heavy or something. I know it's not me, not you. But
yeah, not me.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. So
I don't
just
hear
making sure. Hopefully, if our audience is hearing that, they'll be good. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. The poll question yesterday, brother.
So poll question: Dylan Gabriel with 50% of the vote. That's who everybody thinks that should be getting the start for the Browns, and I know me and you both agreed on that. Shedeur got 20% of the vote, and keep starting Joe Flacco got 30% of the vote. So that kind of tells you where things stand when it comes to the Browns and who should start their game this week against the Vikings over in London, right?
Yeah, they play in London. The Vikings been over there. It will be 2 weeks because they were there in Ireland last week playing their game against Pittsburgh. 50% of the people are exactly right, and 30% are exactly right that Flacco should be, if it was the backup, and then Shedeur Sanders. One of these days when Shedeur Sanders matures a little bit more, he'll start to understand that the position requires and asks for a little bit more. And some of the things aren't, it gets to the point where the consistency of it's not funny, but he'll learn his lesson at some point in time. And maybe it takes an ass whooping on the field when you do get your chance to send a valuable message. That's usually the way it works. I had a quarterback I trained that came to me that I trained and kept saying, mentally, you got to stay on top of it. If you're for an hour, you got to stay on top of it, He went as a freshman to a big university, big time player, great guy. And he's a hell of a kid and a hell of a talent. But the message was sent. He came back in this offseason, and the first thing he said to me, other than, "Hi, coach, I'm looking forward to getting back to work." We got on the field. He said, "You were 100% right." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I should have prepared harder mentally." He goes, "Because it moved a lot faster than I thought." And he played at a big powerhouse school in Texas, and I thought, I didn't just say it just to say it. I could have told you it was coming, but it doesn't matter until they see it themselves and struggle with it or have trouble getting through it. That's the lesson that's taught. And from a station that I heard in Cleveland, that the talk is that I'm just telling you what they said. Don't shoot the messenger. From what I heard is that Shedeur Sanders isn't prepared and ready for this yet. Is not prepared. So let it be a lesson. But sometimes it just takes your ass to get handed to you when your opportunity does present it, for it to scare you and put a little fear into you. Say, it actually is tougher than playing Colorado against Colorado State. And so that lesson will get learned at some point. But that being said, Gabriel should be starting. They need a spark, kind of like what you saw from Jackson Dart. The numbers weren't gaudy, Segs, but you saw the energy from the defense and the offense. Now, does that mean they'll win 3 in a row? Who the hell knows? But I know in that game last week and the timing of when it started, it's better off. The guys responded. Now, you don't need much response from your defense if you're Cleveland, but you sure as shit need some offensive go. And people say, what a horrible way to start him. And it's tough. But you know what? When is it ever easy?
Right.
When's it ever easy? And it could be Tennessee. It's not going to be easy. It's shit. Tennessee compared to even though it's Oregon, what he faced at Oregon, it's going to be completely different. All those cats could have played at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? We're talking. Right. It's a different league.
You don't get to play an FCS team.
Or a low-ranked FCS team.
They're
Slippery
all
Rock,
NFL
no disrespect,
teams.
may not be on your schedule. Right. This is real. And Slippery Rock may be good. I don't even know what their record is, but you get my point. And they're not a household football name. But Segs, when people say that, I say, no. It's a great way to start. Why? Because there is no time to say, well, do this. You're going to face them at some point. Well, wouldn't it prepare them for game 2? No, there's no preparation for game 2. It's a different team. It's a different group of guys. You want this experience because, hell, if you come out of it and play well against the Vikings on the road and you're traveling and they've been over there 2 weeks, then it builds your confidence even more. And if you don't play well, there's that built-in, it's my first start. So it can work in your advantage. And here's another thing. The Cleveland Browns had to do this, and it has to be with Dylan Gabriel because he was next in line. But Brian Flores is going to blitz the dog shit out of you.
Yeah.
And he's pressure you and pressure you and pressure you. And he may mix in some zone, but he's going to make sure that Dillon Gabriel understands that coach doesn't. You don't get to look over at the coach on the sidelines the whole time. Your ass got to be paying attention to defense, and now you got to decipher where to throw the football. But the advantage for Cleveland is, unlike having Joe Flacco, the launch point's going to be changed if Kevin Stefanski has, and Stefanski knows football. You got to move him around things, and if it's a broken blitz and you miss Dillon Gabriel, the advantage is he's really good with his feet, so you can actually buy some time and some plays for you and your football team with a guy who's at least mobile enough if he misses a read and they blitz him to sidestep and go. Sanders isn't a scrambler. Flacco's sure as hell not a scrambler. And it's Dillon Gabriel's turn. And a root for him. But I look at the other way. This is a great challenge for him. And if he answers it, then they're going to have a great opportunity to prove that it was a good decision. But for him to gain full confidence moving forward, because you don't want it to be defense fighting against offense, because you're at that point now. This is a Super Bowl caliber performance defense in Cleveland, that their offense is playing like a Friday night high school offense. So it gives you a little more mobility and movement if plays break down. And I'm anxious to see how he reads it out and gets the ball out of his hand, Sig. So it's a great challenge for him. And you know how that goes. The new energy, sometimes you rally around it. The guy plays good in his first start. So I think this is by Cleveland, and it had to happen. So 50% of them are right, but you see the trust factor. Even the people who voted, they didn't just vote in Cleveland, they voted all over the country, is that 30% still want Flacco. And I would think that's because the experience situation, you're not real sure how the others are going to turn out. But Gabriel's got a great opportunity against a pretty good football team to go on the road.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there with my computer. My computer just decided to say, we've heard enough of Sean. We're done with it.
Yeah, welcome to technology. Yeah. It'll actually put you on late sometimes too, Segs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And another thing, I need you to put more respect on Slippery Rock football. They were 2023 12-2, 2024 12-2, off to a 3-1 start this year with their only loss coming against the number 8 team in the country in California, PA. So put some respect on their name, please.
You know what?
Get a new school to always throw under the bus
you know what?
of who's bad.
Next up, Bowling Green. You know what, Segs? It's a great point.
They've sucked for a while.
Hang on. I'm really sorry. Slippery Rock, you're exactly right. You're my go-to because it kind of rolls off the tongue. It's like Slippery Rock. And you know what? I owe you respect because you're kicking ass, probably winning your conference like 2 years in a row, and you're already undefeated at the beginning. I'm never using Slippery Rock it wasn't even derogatory, but even as there's like a little kind of, who are they going to play? Slippery Rock?
Right.
How dare me? And it's shitty by me to even say that. I apologize to Slippery Rock. I thought when you said, Sean, you need to put more respect. I thought you were going to say Bad Bunny. I said, Bad Bunny needs nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
But then again, as you said, he might like that.
Yeah,
there you go.
You
know what I'm saying?
He would like
that. No. I digress, but Slippery Rock, you deserve more respect than that. And Segs,
just when I heard you say
numbers,
when I heard you say I don't even know what their record is, I was like, I gotta look it up now. Now I have to know what Slippery Rock's record is, and they're 24
ill prepared for the Slippery Rock read. My bad, man.
24-5 over their last three seasons. I mean,
hell, no team outside ever went 24-5. So screw me. It's Slippery Rock. Matter of fact, I'm getting a Slippery Rock hat from one of those, you go online and order from the college. Slippery Rock's going to be a hat I ordered. I'm going to wear it on this show. As my apologies to the great alum and the current team and coaching staff at Slippery Rock. We
are now Slippery Rock fans.
Yes, you're damn right.
The show.
You're damn right.
The show is
maybe we'll take the show on the road and do one a happy hour from Slippery Rock.
We'll go tailgate before a game.
Slippery Rock in like North Carolina. I feel like I want to say Slippery Rock, North Carolina, or am I way out of it? Is it in one of the Carolinas?
Pennsylvania.
I think you're right. Actually, I was going to say Ohio or something. I think you might be right, Segs.
Looking it up right now. Yep.
It sounds. There you go. Another thing. I don't even know Bill Hemmer. I need Bill Hemmer during elections to be able. You know, Bill Hemmer knows geography. You know what I'm saying? Segs, you ever see him? Like on election time when he's going this vote, and if you get this, if this is turning red, and Hemmer's pointing to places I've never heard of like little towns. Oh, they've got 6,474 people. I'm like, how does the dude know this geography just by point and by visual? And so, you know what? I had double respect on Slippery Rock. I gave North Carolina the credit. I'm giving Slippery Rock. Pennsylvania deserves the credit. Man, nobody, you throw out all the records when you don't put enough respect on Slippery Rock to start a show.
Right, exactly. It looks like it's about, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. Just about on the
tough blue collar
border.
town, man. There you go. I love it.
Not far from the Ohio border. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So my next one was Ohio. There you go.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
From now on, we will put respect on Slippery Rock's name.
Damn right we will.
So our poll question today.
And you can fuck right off for going and getting their records. Okay, so there you go.
You know what? Sometimes you just got to know what you're. You know.
Yeah. You know what I mean. And you know what? The ill preparation on Slippery Rock kind of sounds like a bunch of other shows out there in the world that just go on and spew. And you know what it was? That's fake news.
Yeah,
fake news. Slippery Rock's in Pennsylvania, and they win their conference. Sean, that's fake news. Give them more credit. Yes, for sure.
Poll question today. We got a good Thursday night football game, kind of an underrated Thursday night football game. 49ers at Rams.
And how is this underrated, Six, but really not talked about much? Maybe it's the playoffs in baseball. It's weird because these are two teams that consistently win the division, you know?
I feel like the Rams are underrated. Like, I mean, we talk about them a lot, but you just don't hear about the Rams. You don't hear about Matt Stafford anymore, and all he's done since he went to LA is win. Jeez. He got his chance, and he's been awesome.
Dude, and I'm telling you what, does anybody throw it better than he does in football?
No.
I'm talking about, the guy's in his mid 35, 36, and he's still ripping whole shots and throwing balls where they need to go. And there's a confidence. It feels like there's a peace about him. Maybe it's because he's already got the ring, you know? Yeah. Oh, by the way, Matt Stafford, man, his back, he won't be very good this year. Your ass, keep him upright. They can go win the thing again. I'm with you, Segs. This should be a monster game going beginning of the season. We're saying Rams and 49ers, and how we would overlook the Rams, or we haven't, but anybody would right now. You're not putting enough respect on their name, speaking of respect on a team's name. Yeah.
So poll question today is, who makes the bigger impact in tonight's Thursday night football game? Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, or the 49ers defense? And we'll talk about this game in a little bit after we talk some baseball.
I'll tell you who's going to need to, Sigs. 49ers defense and Christian McCaffrey. Now, injuries, I think Isaiah pointed it out also, as well as that. One is they're banged up as always. You know who the 49ers are? They're the Houston Astros, dude, of this year. Honest to God, they just and it's not just some guy you don't know banged up. It's Kittle. It's a couple starting offensive linemen. It was McCaffrey, leading into the season. We were curious about him. It's wide receiver. Dude, what are they on their 12th wide receiver? Are they going to ask Jerry and John Taylor to come out of retirement and play and play for this team? Because they are diminished at that position. So they
sign wide receivers. They walk in and get hurt. I mean,
no, it's true. It's like you stub a toe and you miss a week or a month, right? I voted for Puka. Okay. Like I said, and I know that it always hinges on the quarterback, but in truth, we always say the quarterback makes the receivers better, and they do. But Segs, I got news for you. And I mentioned Seattle and David Craig and that Largent yesterday quickly in old school. I can tell you what, Steve Largent made everybody better because he was always open. One other quick story that goes along with Nacua, and I'm guaranteeing McVay has this same feeling, so does Stafford. That same rookie year, Segs, we were at minicamp, and we were putting the plays in, the early plays you put in at minicamp just to get the library started for when you come back for fall camp. And our offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, first off, and David Craig. So we're there, and I say, well, what's the read on – we had a play called spread right, 70Y option. Largent played the slot, and it was 2x2, back in the backfield. We were in the gun. It's weird saying that, Sigs, because it's like, but you did it on third down. It wasn't first, but it's like, damn, weird saying it that we were in the gun. And you're like, man, we were actually doing the gun back then. Yeah, just not as extensively. We actually got under center 90% of the time played. Yeah. So it was our third down. And that year we went on to be the best third down team in the league, like 3rd and 6 or less, right? And the reason why. So minicamp, I'm asking my guy, Blackie, who was our quarterback coach, Kenny Meyer. And I said, Kenny, what's the read on this? Because I wanted to know in minicamp, because it'll come back to training camp. And it would be the Y option, and we'd run a comeback like on the outside on the same side as Steve. And the backside would be like a stick route and a backside dig if you got 2 deals, just so you'd have it, right? But we couldn't run away underneath because the route gave Largent bandwidth to do what he wanted. So 70 Y option, Largent being the Y to the strong side in this, 70 was the protection. Largent would run up 6 yard and it'd be a 3-way break. And it ended up being a 4-way break. He could push up, and if he was doubled, which they did a lot, inside, outside, we called it cone coverage, he'd stretch the outside, the inside shoulder, the outside leverage guy, and pull up and find a spot. Push up, sit down. And, dude, he was so good at coming out of breaks, right? So that was one option against zone. Against inside man, he'd lean and run away. That's why we do that. And if it was press coverage, you could get a mandatory outside release go route as an option too, so Largent had room to operate. You'd ever want to run two. You didn't want anybody in that area. You wanted Steve to run away to grass, right? Yeah. And then if it was outside leverage man, he'd lean on him and run away inside. So we didn't want another breaking route coming in unless it was like a 20-yard dig or something over the top. So you were high-lowing somebody. Well, and it wasn't a stick route. We ran flat to the other side, so we cleared out for Largent, right? And a deeper route so they didn't run into each other. And then it was the fourth one that if they played zero coverage and came play press man, we could run an automatic fade for a touchdown if we needed, with nobody in the middle of the field, let it go. Yeah. And Steve did, and I said, well, what's the read on it? He goes, throw it to 80. That's quarterback coach. Just first minicamp. I said, no, what's the read? He said, throw it to 80. Largent wore 80. I said, okay, that's great. Mini camp, we're in shorts and a T-shirt and a helmet. Great. We're going to throw it to 80 because he wins. Almost being like, Sean, you know how good Largent is, right? But not thinking that was a real read. They'll tell me later. Right. So next day of mini camp, the 2.5-day mini camp, I asked Gail Gilbert and David Craig, what's the read? Because they'd been there. They said, throw it to 80, man. Steve will just throw it to him. He's going to be open. Yeah. I said, okay, I know, but what's the read? Well, the other three guys really don't matter unless the guy falls down or breaks somebody else's ankle. Throw it to 80. Okay, so before we leave and we do it, come back. I come back to training camp a few months later. I asked Steve Moore, offensive coordinator. I said, Steve, what is the read here? He goes, well, Sean, you know the route. He goes, but throw it to 80. I'm like, oh, what is this the Democrats who they have that on their TV, you know? Yeah. They go with everybody, they get the memo, everybody say the same thing, right? And it's like you can run a collage and a montage of everything. It's the same verbiage. I'm like, okay, what's the read? Throw it to 80.
Right.
Dude, we get into the first game, and I'll be damned. You didn't have to throw it. Unless Largent fell down or quit and missed the team bus.
Right.
They couldn't cover him. It did, because he was as smart as any quarterback. So it was like throw it to 80. And I finally got the clue. I said, oh, so even if we drop back and stare him down and throw it to 80. Yes, unless he falls down, throw it to him. And I'll be damned. We threw it to him 8 million times and he was open all the time. It's the same thing. So Largent made us better because it kind of took everything out. Just go win. And he did. Right. I don't know why we don't see more of that in football six. Kansas City kind of does it on a little deeper with Kelsey in his prime, right? They backed off a little bit of that, but they do it. And you see the Rams do it, McVay, Puka. It's the same thing. So in this poll question, which leads to the game tonight, when they say to me, I would say if I was the quarterback coach, I'd say, throw it to 12.
Yeah.
Throw it to 12. No, but what's the read? Throw it to 12. So if they have their version of choice route or option route. So in this case, while the quarterback, usually the guy, well, he's got to play well. The truth of the matter is, while Stafford's awesome, Puka also really elevates Stafford's game because the trust factor of Matthew, when it's one of those you just win routes, and we do have those when we got you just win. You know, It's the matchup with zone man, it doesn't matter. And he's got such a good feel for pass routes and leverage and depth and finding the open spot in zone. I'll guarantee you when they run a route like that, Mac drops back and says, I'm throwing it to 80. Well, Matt, if he's all covered, don't worry. You guys run your route. I'm not going to tell you I'm throwing it to 80, but or 12. I'm throwing it to 12, right?
Yeah.
So this is it. And I picked Puka too, because if you limit him, it's almost like a dominant running game, Segs, right? But if you limit the run game on certain teams, make them one-dimensional, most pass games aren't good enough to do it. You'll get the guy like an Allen, but even with his legs, I'm just talking about straight, pure passing. They can throw for 400, but they still won't beat you because they're limited in the run game. Well, the same thing here, that he's such a possession guy and such a sure-handed guy that you really do believe that this is an automatic. Hence, 170 yards and 13 catches last week. It won't be the last time you see it. He's going to shatter records. You saw how good at Cooper Kupp was. Saying, I want you to think about this. Cooper Kupp was so good at doing it. Now I want you to add about 25% onto that and say this guy's even better than him. And remember, Kupp won the Triple Crown that one year where it was yards, touchdowns, and receptions in the same year. This cat right here, same way. Give me Puka in the poll question, Segs, for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked yesterday about A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, how Brown has a game with 1 catch for 7 yards and then 2 catches for 7 yards or something along those lines through the first 4 weeks. Puka's worst game to start the season, 8 catches for 91 yards. That's his worst game. Every other game is over 100 and that many catches. He's got 13 catches, 11 catches, and 10 catches in the other 3 games. So 9 for 81 or 8 for 91, excuse me.
I was looking at those
this season.
Yeah, I was looking at what Isaiah said because I was looking at this morning because I keep thinking about just how good the guy is and how he could take a guy like me or somebody else and make us pretty damn good. And then when you got a great player like Stafford, well, you can't stop either one of them, right?
Right.
This team here and 500 yards, which is odd. Think about all the great receivers' sakes.
Yeah.
He sure didn't come out of training camp sluggish, right? They had 500 yards receiving in the first 4 games, and I'm telling you, he'd done it twice. We've had it happen once, but he'd done it twice. I got news for you. By the time you get to the midway point, there's a lot of receivers in the league that will have wanted his 8 games for their season.
Right.
That his feel for football is his football IQ on the run is pre-snap and on the run is through the roof, man. It's off.
And then when you put him with a guy who's so good and a veteran like Matthew Stafford, it's automatic. I mean, it's automatic between those two.
Finishing each other's sentences. And if you flipped them, you could say, Stafford, well, I'm going to run it like you do, even though he could. He said, I trust you. Just tell me what to do, and I'll get there at Stafford. And if you're Puka, say, could you play quarterback? Because you know where I'm going to throw it. That feeling of it's almost like twins and inseparable. We've seen combinations like that, Sigs, before. We have. Mm-hmm. But this is one of them that belongs in that conversation of just the trust factor is right now unparalleled in this league when it comes. And that's even when Joe has Chase and when Jefferson got his thing going. This is as lethal as there is for a guy in truth who's not your 4.3 speed straight head, that can run by guys, but yet he still runs by guys. And that's another thing that Largent did. I remember we were playing Lester Hayes once, and I talked to Mike Haynes. Now think about that, Sigs. That same rookie year, we line up again, and we destroyed the Raiders that year. We line up, and Mike Haynes is on one side, and Lester Hayes is on the other. Now you want to talk about respect and like, oh, hell, this ain't going to be easy. And they'd come up and, always press you, man. And Haynes is a Hall of Famer and long. Lester Hayes belongs in it. Great player. And Mike said, Sean, Lester Hayes, when my career was over, Mike said, oh, Sean. I said, Mike, I remember when we were playing you my rookie year. He goes, don't even mention it. He goes, Lester hates it. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, every time he saw number 80, we had to play Seattle twice. He hated it. He hated his ass. Loved him, but hated. He goes, because he'd come back and like all this stuff, come back and like, I can't cover him. You know, and the truth is as good as, and Lester could cover everybody. But Largent come off that thing, dude, and he'd set your ass up, breaking ankles along the way for other guys. And Mike just still smirked. He goes, Sean, as good as Lester is. He go, and Mike kind of admitted, he's like, well, I'm glad I was on the other side. I didn't, they didn't travel. You don't travel when you got 2 guys that are both Hall of Fame type players, right? And so Mike was on the other side. And the poor Lester Hayes, and I don't feel sorry as a Raider guy. I'm playing against the Raiders. We're playing them, and I'm thinking, gosh, I love Lester Hayes, but this is so fun to watch Largent do his thing. It's the same. They're so similar. Puka's a little bigger than Steve was, but the ability to take any quarter and corner that's great. And put it this way, they took these guys, Puka and a guy like Steve Largent, they take lockdown corners and turn them into average players. And that ain't easy with Lester, never with Mike either. And it's not easy with some of the guys you're facing in this league. He makes it look way too easy. It's not supposed to look like that, Segs, but it's actually pretty cool to watch. And 49ers are going to have their hands full tonight. The best way to stop Nakua is you better hit Stafford. Yeah. That's the best way to do it and shorten the game so they don't get a lot of possessions.
And since we're just on the topic, let's just continue with it. The 49ers, I mean, without Nick Bosa last week, they only pressured the quarterback 16% of the time, which was the worst of the week. And without Bosa on the field all season long, like when he's been out, like, sitting out a play or two, they're only at 25% pressure rate, which is worst in the NFL. So you talk about the 49ers need to hit Matt Stafford. Well, with Nick Bosa down, they are the worst team in football at getting pressure on the quarterback. So that is going to make life hell on those DBs, those linebackers trying to cover Devontae Adams, Puka Nakua, and others. Even Kyron Williams out of the backfield's been really good. So
no doubt. He's a good player, man. He's a good blocker in protections too. I like him. Sigs, I was thinking, and I was reminded of this. Remember when the 49ers were banged up and they went out and traded for McCaffrey from Carolina, right, and brought him in, and what a difference he made? Would it shock you if Lynch and Shanahan said, call the Bengals up, they're screwed. They've got no players. I know they just signed Hendrickson. Call him up and see what it'd take to get him here. I'm being serious now.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
and he'd probably say, "Thank goodness." Can you imagine that? If I was anybody before the trade deadline that needed help over there, I'm calling, because the Bengals might just be dumb enough to do it, to give up their guy. But if you can get something out of it, and you're like, man, we're not any good, because unfortunately they're so far away from being good on defense. Even with Hendrickson, they're not that good, because one guy can't play for 11, right? And so, hell, if you're the 49ers, I would imagine you should be pretty active somehow, some way. But there may be competition for that, because there's a lot of teams. If you're the and wouldn't it be funny if the Cowboys called up and wanted to get him, and they had that guy, and now he's in Green Bay? Shit like that happens all the time in the NFL. And by the way, let me say to Tim Murphy, a show podcast with 3 people watching. Well, Tim, I'll just let you know that when we start a little late, it's people there. But I know from the metrics every day that 70 and 80 and 85,000 people that come in and view it and check it out. And your dumbasses here. So I wouldn't worry about us, because and neither do the advertisers that are doling out money either. So appreciate your concern about the people watching us. We appreciate you tuning in. And if you want real stuff that you get it authentic, you should probably stay here as opposed to watching some of the other trash I'm sure that's out there. So I think we're doing okay. And if it is 3, those 3 are going to be fucking happy out the ass. Okay.
Yep.
But to my knowledge, I could have swore I saw 65 and 75 and 80,000 people viewing it on a regular basis.
We taught those 3 people how good Slippery Rock is.
You damned right. And Tim, great to have you on the show. Stick around a while. We got some people that learn stuff. So we're not really, and we also know that people do work, and you're either watching it from there or you're part of it. Thanks for joining in. You added a 4th. We appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Rams, 8.5-point favorites at home. Pretty big number when you look at the big scheme of how most NFL games are, but that number feels right. Even though both teams are 3-1 and sitting atop the division tied, this number feels good. Like it makes me question, do I want to take the Niners and the points? But most of me is saying lay the points and take the Rams, because I just feel like the way this 49ers defense is playing, especially without Nick Bosa, that Stafford and company can just sit back and pick them apart and put up a lot of points. And we don't know with the 49ers offense, especially without Brock Purdy. I know Mac Jones has played well, but it's a week-to-week thing that we need to just keep seeing from that offense.
Segs, the familiarity with Shanahan and McVay, they know they're probably finishing each other's sentences as well in this game, and you think matchups and the rest of it. I would rarely be comfortable in a game that you're saying 8.5 points when the 49ers are playing the Rams over the last decade or so. I would not be comfortable with that, because I'm thinking, man, regardless of injuries, there's pride. These guys know each other. Hell, even with Purdy, you're going to play Mac Jones, all those things. But the explosiveness of the Rams and the lack of pass rush, and you're going to let Stafford sit back there, smoke a cigarette, and still deliver it. I am really comfortable. And I've the 49ers organization, I'm a huge fan, but the struggles with injuries, you can't turn it over. They're going to turn it into points, the Rams are. I'm actually really comfortable in this one, taking the Rams and giving you the points. I am.
Right.
I mean, I'll lay them, and I'm not really that nervous about it. I was not going to touch this game, but at that number, I'm thinking, man, it's getting closer. The Sharps know what they're doing, number one. Number two is the Rams are just a better team than them. Now, we understand Cleveland beats Green Bay. It can happen, but put it this way, if the Rams lose this game, Segs, I will be shocked. I really will, considering the personnel matchups in this game.
Yeah, I just think the way that the teams are set up, that the Rams, they have the better unit in every matchup in this game. And those normally, I know, like you said, division games are always a little different. You know, they always hit a little different when you're out there playing, but it just feels like, and you never know about Thursday nights. Thursday nights throw everything into a little bit of chaos as well when you're playing on a short rest, and you don't know how guys can respond sometimes. And some guys come out and love, you know, not Thursday night football, but primetime football. They're the only game on. They want to play in it. And then other guys come out and they're just not quite ready for that quick turnaround, and their body's not quite ready, and they're not as fast or whatever it is.
Yep. No, I'm 100% with you. Say, put it this way: if you're going to beat the Rams now, division game or not, you need a full arsenal of players, or Mac Jones is going to have to play out of his mind, and they're going to try to go get him, because while he's an underrated athlete, he is not overly. He's not going to kill you with mobility, and which means it's kind of like Baltimore this week. You better lean on Derrick Henry.
Yes.
You better lean on Christian McCaffrey in the passing game. McCaffrey better come out of this and need a doggone plunge pool of with. Even plunge pool field with double chillers to keep it cold, because he's touching the football as often as he possibly can. Otherwise, that you're really undermanned to the point of a little matter of fact, a little shockingly undermanned. Truthful, the Rams are a definite Super Bowl contender. If they're not in the Final Four this year, just from early returns and the way they played last year, I'll be shocked. I think they're that good. They just got to stay healthy, and I don't think there's any stopping them.
Right. I'm with you on that. So the poll question again is, who makes the bigger impact tonight? Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, or the 49ers defense? Right now it sits with us at 47% for Puka Nacua. Matt Stafford just above Christian McCaffrey, 25-24, and then the 49ers defense 3.4%. So nobody really trusts that 49ers defense right now.
If we'd have put who needs to, we'd have said who's the desperate group here tonight. The last one would have been the first one.
Yes.
And Isaiah, I'm glad you said that, because I am a stand in line, worth the price of admission Fred Warner fan.
Yes.
Fred's got to like play like two cats tonight, and he's capable of doing it, man. But not only is that's a first ballot guaranteed Hall of Famer, that guy is a monster. But even Fred might not be good enough to stop this onslaught and to even deal with a guy like Puka, because you also got to remember they can run the football, and they will commit to that as well.
Yes.
And so it's going to be hard for Fred's good enough to be two places at once, I guess, but they're undermanned, and he knows that the pressure on the quarterback is going to be so, which makes me think it's going to be difficult to dial up, which means what, Segs? If you're having difficulty and you're not getting pressure and you're getting your ass handed to you, you start dialing up pressure.
Yep.
And then it leaves that 12 by himself on a linebacker or on a slot corner or somebody. Hell, what you do is you take your best cover guy, you move him inside, and he's got to take even then your best, if you can hold the ball, will not be good enough. So I'm really curious to see how they deal with their defense and their lack of pressure on the approach to Stafford in that group.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. All right, switching over to baseball, Sean. We get 3 game threes today, with only the Dodgers closing out their series yesterday with an 8-4 win over the Reds. Yamamoto was really good. He gave up those 2 early unearned runs, and then just settled in, going 6 2/3, only giving up 4 hits. 9 Ks, only 2 walks. He pitched really, really well yesterday for the Dodgers, and they kind of seem to be hitting their stride. They look very comfortable. Mookie Betts 4 for 5 with 3 doubles, just like, you just expect Mookie to do that. And
Agreed.
He's just one of the best players in baseball, and a sneaky little thing that I don't know how many people really saw at the end, but Roki Sasaki, the young pitcher that they brought over from Japan recently, he closed the game out with an inning had 2 strikeouts, looked really good. That could be a real weapon for them if he kind of becomes their closer the rest of this postseason.
Why
now
not?
I mean,
Ohtani's going to start game 1 against Philly.
Yep. Which is going to be must-watch TV. Ohtani versus Harper and Schwarber and Trey Turner and
what a series!
All those, like
what a series.
It feels like, I want to say, like, that feels like the World Series. That feels like the best 2 teams in baseball to me right now is the Phillies and the Dodgers. Now I know the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Mariners and they all have something to say.
Toronto's pretty good too. Yeah.
Toronto's good too, but man, just the star power on these 2 teams and what they've done in recent history just tells me at least that these are the 2 best teams in baseball right now. And this series is going to be fun to watch.
Right. All respect to Cincinnati and my guy, Tito Francona.
Mm-hmm.
The lineup you're about to face in Philly is going to be a little bit more difficult on the Dodgers staff and clutch hits. And you want to talk about swagger. Ain't nobody got more of it than the Philadelphia Phillies team. They just do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they can run out a few guys at the top of their pitching of that rotation as well. Yeah. Segs Yamamoto was great. The thing that stuck out to me is once he settled in, bases packed, Ellie De La Cruz at the plate, struck him out. He fought off a couple pitches and hung in there, struck him out, and the rest is history. And you mentioned, coming in and using a guy who's a starter, who's got starting material, but bring him in. The Dodgers seem to find that guy all the time, Segs. They really do. And, it's always somebody else who does it, but their stars keep showing up. Ohtani, Mookie, and we're fully healthy, back at it, like you mentioned, the doubles. Muncy hits, Freddie Freeman. They're loaded, man. I was surprised that they hammered Cincinnati like they did, but not shocked. Does that make sense? Because the Dodgers were a heavy favorite in this and playing at home. But you thought maybe with Tito, and they go in there and steal one and do it. But when you got that kind of talent, they're playing well and driving the baseball and getting good pitching, it would have had to be a really big upset. And I was pulling for it to go 3 and see what you could get out of it.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers were just too much. But now it's kind of like the NBA, Segs, and I know that it's not right to say because these are tougher. Normally in the first series, in the first round of the NBA, the better team wins. Yeah. Most, if not all, most of the time. In baseball, you can steal one if your pitcher's good and somebody doesn't pitch well in the other one. But the first, at least in that series, it felt like, okay, we knew that was coming. Now the playoffs begin. And that's no disrespect to Cincinnati because they had a hell of a season. But both lineups are deeper with the Dodgers and Phillies, hence why we think that this is a semi-World Series with 2 teams in the National League, the way they're playing. And the intensity in both ballparks, there will be shit-talking, there will be bat flips, there will be strikeouts, and there will be stars are on the loose in this one, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Sean, you called it yesterday. You had the Yankees winning game 2, forcing a game 3. 4-3, they do get the win over the Red Sox. Wells with the big single in the 8th inning, scoring Jazz Chisholm just ahead of the throw from right field.
Great effort by Chisholm, meaning speed, turn it up.
Yes.
To put pressure on a great throw, right? To make sure and still beat it out at the plate. Important. It was awesome.
The interesting thing I find going into tonight's game, the Red Sox are going with Connolly early. The young pitcher only has 19 innings in the major leagues, and they trust this kid enough to start on the mound in game 3, an elimination, get winner take all, winner move on between the Red Sox and Yankees. I mean, that tells
in Yankee Stadium, right?
In Yankee yes, that's right. In Yankees, that tells you what they really feel about this kid, and he's got good stuff. But man, that he's gonna have that, where it's bubbling at the back of his throat, ready to puke as he walks out to that mound in this series.
Well, you know what, the veterans, it's one of those, hey, dude, you make sure you go to the restroom like 8 times so you don't piss yourself coming out of here. Now, he may be one of those guys with moxie, and he does. I know, and judging from guys, and we both got buddies there and listen to how they feel about him. Hell, you know what? I didn't think Bayo was overwhelmed. Did you, Segs? He just ran into a good – I thought he hung in there okay. Didn't and I didn't think they were going to get a lot of length out of him. And I don't know how much length or what patience they'll have tonight. One thing about it, if all hands are on deck, if he's getting hammered, they'll you'll see guys that are starting. It doesn't matter. Everybody's on deck. But the fact that you're running him out there and testing him and that blood pressure and him to settle in. I can't wait to see it. And I'm a Red Sox guy, so you're like, man, this ain't Kurt Schilling yet. I mean, as far as K, what you're going to get, but I can promise you this: the Yankees are probably like, let's see. And Segs, did you say right? I think he's under 20 innings. You said 19, right?
19.1.
So yeah, so you're talking about a guy who's still he hasn't urinated a drop for the most part, but for Cora to run him out there and feel that good about it, we'll see if it's one of those, hey, get him 3 and get him out. If he's going good, we'll get him 4, get him out, and then we'll get to the bullpen, all hands on deck, and we'll see what happens. But let me throw this at you. 3-2 Red Sox lead in the 7th inning, and you need 3 outs in the 8th to get to a closing situation. Crochet give you 3 after 117 pitches? Can he give you 3 outs? Can't do it, can you, Segs?
No, I don't.
Or can you? I mean, all hands are on deck but one. Is that fair? I mean,
that would be
2
tough.
hands and 1 guy.
Yeah, I mean, I would, and I guess it really depends on, is it that heart of that order? Is it Judge and all them coming up? Then you know what? Just give me Chapman. Just give me Chapman right at that moment. If they have their best coming up, you throw your best, even if it's the
regardless if it's a closing situation or not, right? Yeah,
I don't care. I got to be able to trust my guy. That's a closer, and I know guys are very, I don't want to say superstitious, but they like it when they are in their spot. So the 9th inning, they like closing in the 9th inning. But
it's that superstition routine, Segs. They
when
know
you're
what they
in the
expect.
Playoffs, you have to be able to trust your best guy. And right now, Chapman is their best guy out of the pen. That you say you're going to go in, you're going to face the heart of that order, and when you come out of it, we've got 2 guys behind you that can take care of the next 2, or he goes 2 innings, which he can definitely do. He can go 2 innings, and then if you need a third, in the 9th, you go to somebody else that you trust in that time.
And you got a couple rookies going. The Yankees are running.
Yeah, Schluter is also going.
Yeah, he's going. You got 2.
He's
been
really
going.
good this year.
Yep, and Bale. I mean, the Bale's good stuff, but the kid going tonight's got a little bit better. I mean, when you just talk about a little more electric
stuff.
I'm anxious to see which rookie settles in quicker, Segs, in truth. But I'm also anxious to see if we do, and you start to hear the broadcast talk, will there be mention that is Garrett Crochet, or if somebody asked Cora beforehand, is he available for 10, 15, 1 inning, 3 outs, 20 pitches, 15 pitches? Will you? Now, if you're Garrett Crochet, I know who he is. Because I'll guarantee you he's tapped his ass on the shoulder and say, if you need me, I'm good to go tonight.
Yeah.
You know that. But, the question is, now, if it's 5-2 Segs, Red Sox, no, you're not going to see him. But I always wonder if it's late and you're going, man, I got to throw Chapman. Do you say, dude, can you go Verlander on him, or can you go one of those Randy Johnson on him back in the day? And can you give me 3 outs? I'm curious to see how the Red Sox approach that if it got to that point.
Well, and you're going to see early in the game.
I think Max Fried's available, Segs. I think Max Fried's available. I do.
Yeah.
Because
I can see that.
He pitched a lot less, gave you a lot less. I could actually see in a matchup situation with Fried on the mound that you'd carve an inning out of him if it was close.
I can see that.
Yeah,
definitely. Early, the pitcher in the first inning, it'll be interesting to see with Grisham up, lefty. You pitch to him like normal. Then you have Judge. I don't think you even give Judge a chance to beat the young pitcher. You just, I don't want to say put him on, but you pitch around him.
You make him hit your pitch, Segs. You make him get a pitch.
7-8 inches off the plate. And if he goes out and hits one to right field to that short porch, you just kind of live with it. But you do not give him anything in the zone, in my opinion. You don't give Judge a left-handed rookie that's only thrown 19 major league innings in the first inning of a must-win game. Because then, and we'll see what the lineup is constructed like tonight, but then you have Belly, who's normally hitting third. Another lefty. Okay, you feel better about that. A lefty on lefty, especially with a kid or like early who has this kind of stuff. But it's going to be interesting that first inning, how they pitch to this lineup with this young kid.
Right. And Segs, with that too, if you do decide to pitch to him, one thing you're not going to do, don't throw him a fastball right down the cock. Okay.
No, don't do that.
And if you're and you're going to go back toe with it, right? You're going to try to give him a sweeper, a slide on the back toe, something that tries to get him a little off balance and see. I mean, he's had such a good year of being patient this year. Aaron Judge laying off pitches that, last 2 years really. So I'm anxious to see. Or do you come out with big stone, Sags, and say, go get him, Yeah, go get him. We'll see.
Maybe,
the game plan approach tonight will be pretty cool to see. It really will.
If that kid
I'm already pacing. I'm already pacing at the crib, brother.
I'm sure. I was sitting there watching the game. I was sitting in my chair, and I'm just like, oh, man. Like, I was, a little nervous just about the way things were going. And I don't really care who wins. I would rather see the Red Sox win because I'm historically a Yankee hater. But I was just like, I don't know how. I mean, I haven't seen my teams in the playoffs in a little while. So it's
you're probably thinking, Sean's losing his friggin' ever-loving mind standing.
I know I would be losing my mind. So,
and I was. Bummer. But they got back into it. It's been a hell of a quick series so far.
Yes,
but this will be a fun one later on today.
I will say before I go to the Padres Cubs game, this little 3-game series for the wild card, I was very wary of when they announced that they were going to do it and when we started seeing it, but it really does now. It turns things up quick in the playoffs.
Oh man, urgency! You got to create urgency on your team because two innings and you're all of a sudden you're down 1 and then you're losing in the second game. You're like, what in the hell? Put it this way: if you're the good team, you really want longer series because you're right. If you're the team that's the underdog, not in case of Cincinnati, you're like, you know what? If we steal one of these, man, even though all 3 are in the better records building, I hate it, but I hate it if I'm on the wrong side of it. I love it if I can get out of it quickly and win and get moving on. But the intensity and the drama that we talked about outside of hockey, there's no better drama.
Right. Just
in between the slowness of it. And I know the pitch clock speeds it up, but the broadcast and the hearing the crowd and the ambient noise and strike. 3-1. Now it's 3-2. Oh, now you got to come in. And then the guy who's got big balls and will throw you an off-speed slider with a guy on with the bases loaded and 1 out and throws a slider to get a guy on 3-2 instead of in the little league way say, I got to throw a fastball because I got to throw it for a strike. And then if you do, those guys end up hammering it. Unless, of course, your name's Mason Miller and you hit 104.5 yesterday. So I'm with you, Segs. It bothers me, but I love the intensity. So it's like it's a weird dynamic. It's like, damn, I wish we had 5. And I actually there's that selfish part of me that wants the 7-game series all the way through, but it's not realistic through for every round. So we go 3 and 5 and then 7. But I can tell you the intensity of it will it ain't only the rookie pitcher who's pissing himself because there's some of us sitting in our living room that are feeling the same way.
Like you may only get 6 at bats in a series if you lose 0-2 and you don't even really get to make that impact because maybe your swing gets a little off and you just can't get it quite ready. And it's tough because you don't in a 7-game series, you're going to get maybe up to at least 4 games. If you get swept, you get 4 games to make an impact. 2 games is quick. So it's
and I love, unlike the NBA that goes bingo, bango, bongo, 3 straight days and moving on. We ain't wasting no time. We're not saying you need an extra day off and load man. Yeah, stop it. This is the way you're supposed to do postseason as far as the urgency. And then boom, boom, and let's get to the next round. And I love that 3 of the 4 at least are deciding games in this one. And this last one, the Cubs and the Padres, pretty hell of a series going on there too, man. Yeah,
Padres beat the Cubs 3-0. They'll force their game kicks off at 4 today. So we'll have the Guardians and Tigers play at 2. Padres Cubs play at 4, and then Yankees Red Sox tonight at 7. But the Padres pitching yesterday started with Cease. He goes 2 1/3. Morahan comes on. He gives you 2+ of just.
I was actually surprised that they set Cease down early.
Yeah,
which. I mean, because he pumped in 100 yesterday.
Yeah,
he was, but they had a plan obviously going in.
I mean, just think about it. You have Cease throwing 100. Then you go to Morahan coming from the left side throwing 100, 99 to 100, and then of course you go to the monster and Mason Miller, who, like you said, hit 104.5. 5 hitters faced, 5 strikeouts. 3 hitters faced in game 1, 3 strikeouts. 8 hitters faced, 8 strikeouts. This kid is just unreal.
And but how dare him? he walked a guy and they had to pull him out. Yeah, well, what a shitty series he's had, right?
Right.
Strikeout. Oh, you walked a guy, we got to get you out. I'm telling you, I don't know how when he's on and painting and dude, 104.5 touching places. It's like, well, Suzuki was at the plate, Segs, who homered the day before off Pavetta, right?
Yep.
Dude, he threw him a fast. I think one of them was at $103 before he topped out at 104.5. Mm-hmm. The ball hit the catcher's glove, and Suzuki's barrel had not gone through the hitting zone yet. I'm like, that's that little league kid, and Suzuki's a good player. And I'm like, come on. And then another one, he threw one about 103, 102. And I'm telling you, it hit the black, and you're away from a right-handed hitter. I can't remember what the hitter was. And I'm like, there's not a guy on the planet that can. First of all, you're so like paralysis by analysis. You're like, I'm not even going to try to hit that because I'll embarrass myself. But when you paint it, you know what you do? And at one point, you just start walking back, especially with called through strike. Say, got his ass. What are you supposed to do other than, matter of fact, take your helmet off and tip it to him. Say, dude, you could throw it there at that speed. I'm done. Disgusting. I am finished. Yeah, no doubt.
And then they have Suarez to end it, who's nasty as well. So it's just,
if you're throwing 97 for them, you're a lightweight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the drop off from Miller to Suarez, it's like they're facing changeups now, and it's just like, oh god. Yeah. But and it's still hard. It's just what the Padres.
And by the way, Yankees last night,
real quick, was not fair.
Yeah, and pay some respect too for us. Bedard came in and did his thing against the Red Sox, pumping it at 98, 99 as well. And he's going to challenge you too. So, dude, the pitching in a couple of these series have been friggin' lights out. It's been a pleasure to watch.
Just watching Major League pitching, especially in the playoffs, when you're seeing the best of the best night in, night out, big time innings, big time moments, just to see what they can do with a baseball. I don't know how hitters hit. I don't understand how hitters hit the ball. I don't know how Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani are so good at what they do, or Mookie Betts hitting 3 double. How do they do that consistently with a round bat, with a round ball, and these guys making these pitches move or throwing it 105?
Well, Stiggs, you know how?
Ridiculous.
You know, Al, that $40 million that they're making, somewhere along the line, they've said, I know how to hit $103. But even them, dude, Ohtani, any of them, now he's a freak show. But if you're doing what a guy like Mason Miller is, and you're putting it there, and you got 2 pitches that are out pitches, and that slider that's 15 miles an hour slower. But it's even those guys. And Tom Glavine told me in an interview years ago, I said, who would you rather face? And I think it's a pretty obvious answer. Would you rather face a big power guy who can end the game with one swing of the bat, or the guy who just drives you crazy and puts the ball in play? He said, Sean, I can always get out the big swinger, because big swinger begat big swinger. That ain't changing, right? He can always get Stanton out. And now you miss, and Stanton's going to hit it 500 feet. But you face Suzuki and Wade Boggs and Gwynn, guys like that. It's like, oh, now the pitcher's going, and now this is a 15-pitch at bat. This will be a blast, right? I don't want to see this, but dude, when you're doing what some of the pitching's done with Skubal and with Crochet at their best, and then seeing the bullpens and Mason Miller do that, you just honestly, we kid about it, but that's just one of those. You just have no shot. If he's throwing 2 pitches for strikes and one of them's $104.5, hell, the adrenaline gets pumping, dude. In today's game, if you get him, you may see the sucker throw $105. Yeah. If the adrenaline's pumping with those big ass legs. So I don't know how they do it, Segs. I don't know how you even can catch up to it. If you're guessing fastball and get started early, maybe. But you can't be guessing fastball against Miller. You got to be looking fastball and being able to just foul it off. Just foul it off to get another shot. And hope he comes back with a fastball that you start about 1.5 seconds sooner than you normally would. And still you're at a major disadvantage.
And even pitching,
it's pretty impressive, man.
It's just, I grew up with a kid who pitched in the majors, and I hit off him every year in rec ball and everything, played some travel ball with him, and he had like a 2-seam fastball that just moved an insane amount. And we always ask, how do you throw that? And he goes, I don't know, I just throw it. Like a lot of these guys, they just throw it, and it's just kind of natural. They grab a baseball, and it's the way they grab it, and they just throw it. and it just has that run. Or
Natural
my son,
run, right?
I have twins that are 10. One kid they both throw hard, but one can make the ball move just naturally. He just changes his grip a little bit and throws it the exact
Part
same
of his
way.
gig, right?
And the other one,
same motion, but it spins more, right?
The other one can't figure out how to move a baseball at all. I mean, we work on it, and he's getting a little bit better. But the other one, I'm just like, and I don't know if it's like because the one that can make the ball move plays quarterback, so he's used to the kind of the pronation and all that stuff. So that's how he throws a baseball too. And it just, I mean, these.
What you do with that,
coaches are like, what the hell?
It's like that. When you get that 5-year-old, you'll see on a video that swings the golf club better than most pros do.
Right.
And somebody tinkers with it. What I say whenever I say, stay out of his way.
Yeah.
Don't touch his grip. Now you go around on the putting green, but when it's the full swing, stay at the tempo. And it's like, and that's just, they pick it up, and they look at a guy and they'll say, oh, I can do that. Like they're 6 or 7 because they're so impressionable. Right. That's one of those you say, hey, I know you're 10 or you're 12 or you're 8 or you're 6. I'm leaving you got that and the ball's jumping like that and you got a good arm. I start tinkering with it. He's going to say, you just took my magic away. This is natural, Pop. So you're 100% correct. And Isaiah, Tom Glavine still probably has nightmares of Tony Gwynn. And there's plenty of hitters that had nightmares with Glavine.
Everybody.
But then again, 98% of the pitchers on the world probably still wake up in the morning in the cold sweats thinking, oh, not Gwynn again. I don't want to see this cat, right? No doubt.
Yeah, and then lastly, we had the Guardians beat the Tigers 6-1. So that game will kick off at 2, Game 3. Jack Flaherty going for the Tigers, I think, gives them the edge today over Shoshone going for Cleveland.
Flaherty's a bulldog, Stiggs. He's kind of got a little meanness on him too. I like it.
Yeah, he kind of went through some injuries stuff over the last a little
bit of Dow Jones,
and he's had some good years, but I think he gives the Tigers the best chance to win today. And I mean, because you can't come back and throw Scooble as much as you'd want to. You're just hoping you get to that next round so Scooble can start either game 1 or game 2 and give you that edge in that game.
But I'll tell you what, it's good to have Flaherty as a third starter because he's seen the movie, so I'm anxious to see what it looks like.
All right, something we've talked about: college football openings. Normally we don't see a lot of high-profile jobs this early in the season open. But right now, as we sit, we have Arkansas, we have Oklahoma State, we have Stanford, we have UCLA, and we have Virginia Tech. So with those 5 schools sitting open right now, yes, Bobby Petrino's going for the Arkansas job, and you have the interims who always want to keep the job after the season ends. But which of these 5 schools do you look at and you say, okay, if I'm a coach, that's where I want to go, because I think I can take them and turn them into a monster program for the long haul?
Well, Segs, let me go with the bottom 2 that you don't want to touch right now, unless it's your first job or you've been fired a couple times and they like you. Right now, and this is nothing against UCLA, a lot of buddies played there. That's a horrible gig right now. They're not going to commit to a lot of NI unless they all of a sudden change their mind. They got to play in the Rose Bowl and 35,000 people are showing up in 100%. It's just a bad look. They need somehow to fix it. There's the lack of commitment. They're losing athletes. That's a job you only take if you have to, or if it's the only one offered to you. Listen, in the past, I played against UCLA and they had damn good teams and good players. They were good. Teams. We've seen them good in the past. When Aikman was there, they were good as well. Mm-hmm. But if you're Troy and those guys that went to UCLA and buddies of mine, you're like, this is a hard watch. That's as bad as it gets. But it's Los Angeles, and there is the temptation, Segs. What if I can convince them to spend some of that UCLA money? And who doesn't want to live in Pacific Palisades? I mean, I know it's expensive, but you get my point, the beauty of it. It's not a bad gig, okay, when it comes to that. But right now,
the football part of it says no.
Bad. Yeah, now, if you get to go be, if it's a basketball gig and it's the wooden and it's Pauley Pavilion, like, oh, okay, they still got some pizzazz there. Not like it used to, but they're building that again. Football, a long ways away. Stanford, boy, when my guy Harbaugh and David Shaw, who I love, his dad recruited and coached me, and he was one of our guys in Minnesota too, recruited me out of high school, Willie Shaw. I love Dave Shaw. At the last few years of him, there was a time when they were getting the best student and like a big-time player, the Lux, who elevated the program. They were tough as hell. They ran the ball, and they were physical as a son of a bitch. Hell, they gave my Trojans way too many fits and beat us as well. It's not the same program. And you know what? Like the Ivy League schools, Stanford has all the money in the world. They could dominate NIL if they wanted to.
Right.
But with the academic requirements, if you're not all in on NIL, now you and I don't like the pay for play, which it's basically what it is. I do believe players should get paid, but we got to regulate that somehow. But as it sits right now, Stanford ain't going to do that. If they did, say, you know how much money's on that campus of alum and that's not on that campus of the people that went to school there? They could pour millions into the program and not bat an eye. But with the academic requirements and the lack of NIL, they're going, maybe Andrew Luck can convince them to do it different as the GM. That's probably that. Now, if you're a coach there, there's a lot of pride in going, this is Stanford. I'm going to get great kids who I never have to. One thing you don't have to do is stand up in front of the class and say, hey, you know what, man, you're failing out of school. Those dudes, they're self-starters. You don't have to worry about it. So there's a pride in the academics, and it's a hard place. But I see a guy like Pat Fitzgerald. I do because Northwestern, very similar, Segs, good academics, maybe not overly committed to the money, and it's a beautiful area. I mean, you could see that, and Pat's had great success. He's going to be coaching again, right, Segs?
And Pat just is looking for that chance. He just needs some school to take a chance on him again with everything that happened.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Right.
They were giving everybody else second chances, and quite frankly, I'm not so sure he needed a second chance. He should probably still be on his first one. That being said, those are the two. Now with Arkansas, with Virginia Tech, and what was the other one, Segs?
Oklahoma State.
Virginia Tech, it's been weird that they haven't been able to dominate since Beamer left. They've had some seasons, but I'm talking about whenever you went to Blacksburg on a Thursday night game, Herb Street will tell you it's as good an atmosphere he ever goes to.
Right.
That's a phenomenal. That is one that could turn it around quick if you get the right players. And I hate that every time we do this now, it's like, what are you willing to commit to NIL like Texas Tech has done? It's a bummer, but that's a sneaky for people that are younger and didn't see them at their best. That is a great place to play and a great place to the home crowd wins games for them. And so that's a sneaky job, but it's not one of the top three right now. And I'm going to tell you why. Segs, the other two are it. Both Oklahoma State and Arkansas have gobs and gobs of big money. The key is with Oklahoma State, how are you? Gundy's been there so long. They've been settled in. They needed a fresh voice, even though I think Mike Gundy's a damn good coach. And I love Mike, but they needed a new voice, and the players needed to hear something different. The question here is, what are you willing to commit? And can you will you commit to the NIL side? Will you dive in and overspend? And can you still recruit? Because Gundy could recruit as well. That's a job. I would put that second right now, Segs. I would, even though Virginia Tech covers the best job for me. Oklahoma State's close, but it's Arkansas. I'm going to tell you what. Look what they've done. You think Cal would have taken that basketball job, Calipari, if they weren't committing to all his NIL? Look at the NIL they're paying for the basketball team. And it's a bummer that now everything's prefaced by, are they going to commit money? Look what it's done, like I said, for Texas Tech. The money from Tyson Foods, the Walton family, everything that exists there, they have got a well the well that goes down. It's endless well that goes down 8,000 feet, or an ocean that goes down. All the fish are down there. It is, if they will turn that over, the next coach is stepping in. Sam Pittman's a great dude, man. A phenomenal human being and a good football coach and a good line coach. Good head. People love it. But that's a job that if Petrino gets it, he's going to love it if he gets it full time. There's no doubt. It's so close because they're going to get good players. They get some great players in Texas. They go into California and get a guy. Segs, they can get good players. Now, I know they're in the SEC, so people know they're going to be on TV. It's the conference that's going to get all those things. The thing is, if they will do what Texas Tech has done and find that alumni group and the former that says, you know what, we've got a venture capital, all this money. NIL is a priority, not a afterthought, a priority. Right. The next coach can win their Segs. Now, they're in a conference that says, damn, tough to win there. You can spend, but they can make quantum leaps. This will not be a slow burn. if they'll commit to what they did with Calipari, would have gone in anywhere that gave a good program, Cal, that he could know that the school was backing him, or he wouldn't have taken it, in my opinion, sakes, because he could have waited and got another gig. But Arkansas committed to that, and they're going to get, and they will. If the football program will match the basketball program, and the donors are saying, you know what, we got this next great head coach or whoever that might be, let's give him a legit run to keep up and get into the upper half of the recruiting and spending in the SEC. Look out. I think it's one of those, if we wake up 2 years from now and you say, look how quick they've turned it around, and then start to look at the process they went to turn it around, you watch. They can go get a bunch of players from Dallas. They can go into Texas. If they got money, they'll take a guy that was going to go to University of Texas. I promise you that if he can be a star there, a lot of it's going to depend on that and how they go about it. I think Arkansas, Oklahoma State in that order are the two best jobs. Close. Give me Arkansas first because of now T. Boone Pickens is a lot of money. God rest his soul. But I don't know what their commitment's going to be to that part of it.
Does the conference sway you in any way? So it's like the SEC, yes, like you want to be in the SEC, you want to play amongst all those great teams, but it may be the tougher job because of who you have to beat every single year to get into the playoff.
Well, if you want to win quicker, take Oklahoma State, no doubt.
Right. So, okay. So, yeah, that's kind of where I was headed with that.
Talking about winning quick. If you're just talking about money and getting recruits and having a shot to compete in the SEC, if you're talking about a chance to go to the playoff quicker,
go Oklahoma State.
It's the Cowboys. There's no doubt about it. With Virginia Tech being third because they're what, ACC, right, Sigs?
Yeah.
That would be – but it's still in that order. But if you're saying quickest chance to get good and go just by getting good players and get to a playoff, you would make Arkansas third because the SEC, Virginia Tech second, and Oklahoma State would be first. And those two would be probably just as close as if you're just going with Arkansas, Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State would be close because both have had paths where they've been that close to breaking through and being in national title type contention.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes
9-win, 10-win type teams. But Arkansas, to me, as the coach, you got a chance. But the conference, but what coach doesn't go say,
right,
hey, I want the bigger conference because I'm going to turn this thing around, right?
Right, exactly. Especially if you're a big-time coach or whatever, trying to break into that big conference. We talk about Clemson. We talk about Florida as Dabo and Billy Napier is the next guys that if what has gone on so far continues. Are there any other schools you look at and say, okay, this guy I need to watch out for the rest of the year, and maybe it is time to move on from?
Outside of those two, or including those two?
Outside of those two, you got anybody?
What would you think? What if Florida State wilted?
That's one I've considered.
What if Florida State wilted? I like Mike Norvell, dude. 2 years ago, had him in a chance, lost his quarterback. But what if Florida State went to the tank and lost 5 in a row?
Right, yeah. You lose to Virginia, and then it just continues to topple after what happened last year.
Right.
I would definitely have to consider him. I would definitely have to consider him. But I'm going to throw 2 schools at you that I think have.
And my thanks, and I don't mean to interrupt you. My Trojans, honestly, as much as I like Lincoln Riley scoring, if we go and win 7 games this year and the Big Ten runs over us roughshod and like Illinois did, and physically, even though we have good offense, having been a guy there and know how the boosters and people are talking, as much as we love Lincoln Riley as a guy, that job, if they win 7 or 8 games, that job's not safe.
Right.
It can't be. And now, of all the jobs we just mentioned, no disrespect to others, that would be the best available job because of location, private school, endless supply of money, and craving to play defense and get back to Trojan ways. That would be the one. And no disrespect, Florida State, obviously Florida. But when you look at, like we said, that's a job that, hell, I don't know, could that lure Nick Saban out of retirement and say, dude, here's an empty checkbook. Do what you want. We're going to support you with NIL. And we got a fence around USC, 50 mile square. Go get the players you want. We'll support you with. That would be one. I don't think Lincoln Riley's out of the woods yet because I got to see how this defense progresses. I'm thinking he's going to be okay, but okay is not. That goes back to when you said 8 wins. 9. That's not going to be enough for the next 2 years, and especially if you get beat by Notre Dame, the rivals are, when you play a Notre Dame or when you get beat by now in a new conference, if you get physically manhandled, people are going to say, we're just too finesse, got to move on. That's one to keep an eye on. Now you tell me.
All right, so I'm going to start both these jobs that I'm going to bring up. I think they deserve the rest of the year. I'm not saying fire them right this second, but I think it's
I'm assuming the rest of the year too for what I was saying.
Right,
I'm with you.
So I'm going to start. Both are in their third year. Both were supposed to come in and make their teams college football playoff contenders every single year. So I'm going to start in the Big Ten, Wisconsin, with Luke Fickle.
I think he's out if this continues at the end of the year.
I mean, right now he's sitting overall at 14-15 going into his third year, and conference he's at 8-11, and he's taken a school that had good seasons under Paul Chryst and really good seasons under Brett Bielema and turned them into just another team. Like most of the time when you face Wisconsin, you think Wisconsin where it's tough nosed, we're going to run the ball.
Well, they're who Illinois has become.
Right.
That's who it
exactly.
is.
We got 5 big linemen that are just going to run you over play after play after play. And then we have defense that can stop the run and get turnovers. They're not that team anymore. And Luke Fickle came from Ohio State, supposed to be the next big thing when it came to defensive coaching. And now you just look at Wisconsin and it's just kind of like, like Michigan plays Wisconsin this weekend. And I find myself, even with a freshman quarterback, kind of just being like, okay, this is a game they should win. Like, and that's not how Wisconsin's supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to be with the Badgers.
No, you should know that it's going to be a fourth quarter game, right?
Right.
As much as Luke's been a good defensive coordinator and has had his moments, he had great moments in Cincinnati. He did.
Mm-hmm.
And remember now, because one of my recruits quarterbacks went there and transferred.
That's right.
When Phil Longo got fired. Remember now, Phil's the head coach at Sam Houston State, and they're already now on another coordinator, and they're only 3 years in. And when they brought Phil Longo in. So I think, Segs, if they win 7 games or whatever this year, and it's a sluggish offense and they get bullied by the big teams, I don't think Luke Fickle has the job in 2026. I think you are spot on with that one. Matter of fact, I think of some of the things, the ones we've named. You mentioned Florida. Hell, I'm almost getting to the point that I wonder if a couple of those other jobs aren't safer than that if they continue to do this, because they're doing things that aren't Wisconsin-like, and it's a bad – and that's a great college town that expects to win every year.
The one thing that may save Luke Fickle, and I did not take this into account when I thought about it, but I just thought about it, his buyout will be $25 million after the season. So, I mean, that's a big number for Wisconsin. So that may buy him one more year as they get that buyout down as he gets through his contract another season. But just based on football.
Great negotiations by him and his agent. $25 million buyout. That's a good gig for him, man. It buys you time, but still, like remember when Jimbo Fisher, they still owed him like $75 million at A&M. You're like, dude, we're just now A&M's got more money and it'll spend more.
A&M's different than Wisconsin.
It's a different stratosphere. But there's some point you get to a point, so I just can't do this anymore. Right. And you're willing to part with. You call up one big booster and say, "Listen, man, you want a new coach? Yeah, I want this guy." Well, you got $18 million. We'll get $7 million from somebody else to pay us. But yep, we got it. But a lot is going to have to happen for you to feel that desperate in Wisconsin. But they're not very good right now. Six. They're average. They're just guys right now, and they don't scare anybody.
And guys like Barry Alvarez that are still around the university all the time. They want Wisconsin football to be good, and they will push people to do the right thing and get Wisconsin football back to what they should be. And then my other guy, last one, it's your boy Dion. He just hasn't done it. I mean, he has this big name. He gets all these big coaches, Warren Sapp and everybody. He's got all these celebrities around him. He brings his son and Travis Hunter, who won a Heisman. He gets all these big-time transfers. He gets big-time recruits, and he got one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. He got one of the top offensive tackles, maybe the top offensive tackle, stole him from Tennessee, and they get these big-time kids, and yet he's 15-15 into his third year. He's 9-12 in the Big 12, and it's just, sorry, it hasn't worked with Dion. And it was kind of it was a big thing. Now, if you notice, we don't hear about Colorado anymore. Nobody talks about them. So if you're not going to win games and you're going to pay this guy this much money, what's the point? And his buyout, I just looked, is only about 10.5.
And he got a pay raise too, Stegs, right? Didn't he get a pay raise, remember?
Yes. So, I mean, things aren't getting better in Boulder. I know it's cool, and you get Dion and you get the celebrity, but even the celebrities we don't see as much anymore because Shadur's gone,
right.
Travis Hunter's gone. That allure of that first year of Colorado when it was all crazy, and they weren't even that good that year. They were good the second year. But now they're just back to 2-2.
We built them up so big. We love the hype, man. It was like,
Yes.
man, we're going to a Thursday night game or a Friday night game, Saturday night. Stegs, I think that's not only valid, I think it's real. The thing that would keep him there, in my opinion, kind of like a buyout for Fickle, is the one thing Dion, he's done good things, don't misunderstand, but the one thing that he has done, he's brought attention to the University of Colorado again, which may get him another year, and they'll say, I'm going to give you one more. You got to win and be in contention, or all that money we're paying you, all the money that we're giving you for NIL or for the players or whatever it is, it's just not working because we're a results-oriented world, man. And if you're not, even that, the pomp and circumstance can't – because I'll tell you what will be a bad thing with Dion there if the crowd, like you saw him leave early, if they're not showing up. If they start to – and it'll be like, ugh, even that's worn off. Now, Dion's a great motivator, and I like how he makes his kids go to class, but they're not a really good football team. They're just not. And so I'm with you. I think that's a danger. May get him another year because it's Dion and what he's brought to the attention to the program. I don't think that's as secure as some may think because it's Dion, because they're not getting the results in, quite frankly, a conference that you should be getting better results. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so those are my two guys that I think right now that of bigger Power 5 schools that I think with where they're at in their contract and in their third year, and they were both
moving year, Segs. It's a moving. You got to make some moves this year, and a couple of them aren't doing it.
Yeah, they're just not doing it. So, and there will be others as this season moves on. Mike Norvell's one to watch, see how they finish up the season. And there's others that I think are supposed to be making things better at their schools, and they just clearly aren't, and they clearly don't have the answers. But we'll talk about that down the line once we see a little bit more.
And Segs, we're not patient with coaches anymore. We'll get rid of. I mean, the days of give them 5 years. Rarely, if you're firing them, they don't live out their contract. People are getting rid of players in the NFL, and coach, they're getting rid of them sooner. Some get a little more patience if they've had a history of being successful. Right. But if you got a guy in his third year, he hasn't moved the needle very much as far as wins and losses. You get to a point where you're like, you know what, man, we got to build it. Thank you for what you've done, but it's time. We got to now. The results have to warrant in the win column, not because of the pomp and circumstance. And there's attention to the program. Because what'll happen, like in Colorado, they'll go back to where people won't show up. I'm talking about the TV cameras will just. Right now, you're going to if you're still going there with the game. You know why you're going? Because you still want the Dion effect. That's right. Why you're going. You're not going to watch quality, great football right now because they're not providing that.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how these seasons continue for Wisconsin and Colorado. But
real secure jobs they are out there in coaching world, right, Segs? You want to talk about insecure job? Hey, good luck, man.
It's the world we've all built when it comes to you have to produce right away. When we look at NFL rookie quarterbacks, if you don't produce, they move on pretty damn quick. Look at Anthony Richardson. So I mean, fans, the media, everybody, nobody has time anymore to wait on anybody on anything.
The instant gratification either happens or you're out.
Yes, I just ordered something on Amazon and I wanted it here tomorrow morning between 4 and 8 because it's free, and that's the one I picked. Like we don't wait for anything anymore. That's just the world we built.
Patience is a good virtue. Screw the virtue. I'm with you. I don't have patience with any of them. Although we should. I'm 100% correct.
We should, but that's why we are firing Luke Fickell and Deion Sanders today.
Right. And I want 4 million viewers tomorrow for our show. So there you go.
Not 3.
Gotta be that's right. 3 million or 3, right?
All right, that'll do it for us. We got some
enjoy the playoffs today, brother.
Yeah,
and a good NFL game. You got a good sports thing coming today from baseball to football, and a pretty good college football weekend coming up as well. And there's some dangerous games, man, for a couple of these teams, man.
We speak about Mike Norvell. They face Miami, so that's going to be a big game for Seminole.
Arch has got
2 in a row.
Arch has got Florida and a team that's defense is getting better. Yep. And according to Billy Napier, quarterback's as healthy as he's been this year. And guess who didn't recruit him, Segs? I recruited a rival of his here, and he's such a good player. But they didn't. A&M did. Texas didn't recruit him. So you don't think he's got a little bit of fire in his belly for this one as well?
Yep.
That's a dangerous game. There's a couple of them that are teetering, my man.
You know
what?
We're
going to see a few of that this weekend.
Sneaky game. Mississippi State playing Texas A&M. Mississippi State's played well the last couple weeks. Get that big win.
Screw Sleepy, Segs. My clock's set for that because Jeff Levy is providing some really good stuff for them, and he's done a hell of a job at Mississippi State. Dangerous game for now. A night game at A&M is pretty brutal.
That's what
it is going to be a tough one for Levy. But I'm going to tell you what now. He's going to challenge that defense and get after it. They're playing really good football. This, at the beginning of the year, you would say, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Now you got to see it. I'm with you.
This is a 25-point dog. It's still 16.5 because it's at Texas A&M at night in Kyle Field.
I don't know if I can do that, Sigs. 16.5 seems like a lot of the way Mississippi.
I bet you it's 7.5. Texas A&M at most.
Think about that night, 109,000 or whatever it's going to be in College Station.
Yeah, it's going to
be. That's a sneaky game for some sakes, but is into it is in being here in Texas. That's closer to damn. I got to see it than it is sneaky good. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we'll be watching it all, but tomorrow we'll be back at noon. We'll talk.
Get
baseball.
That poll question in too, folks.
Yes.
You got that poll question up.
Currently sits who makes a bigger impact tonight. Puka Nacua still at 48%. Stafford and Christian McCaffrey right there together. And then, the 49ers defense is still
You can get that. We all retweeted, but it's on at Unpaved on Rumble. Unpaved on Rumble on Twitter or X.
And you can follow Sean at Sean Unfiltered, me at Adam G. Sager. Tomorrow we'll do our 3 bets in college. We'll pick the 3 best games. We'll bet them against the line and do the over-under, and then 3 games in the NFL. We'll pick our favorite 3 games that we think are interesting, not just the biggest games, but if we think 2 bad teams that you can make some money on this game because
it's all about making money. The biggest games aren't usually the ones you want to make money on. It's the other games. I'm with you. We'll pick them tomorrow, man, both NFL and college.
Real quick, you got Rams minus 8.5, or is that too many points?
Give me the Rams. I'm giving you the points. I think the Rams win by double digits tonight. Too much firepower and too many injuries for the 49ers.
And 43.5, I would take the over. I like the over 43.
Yeah, that's it. But the thing about it thinks if it's, let's say it's 30-13.
Yeah.
You can see, you know what I'm saying? Even if the Rams light it up, what you need is 3 touchdowns by the 49ers, and you'll get the over.
Yes.
But that's a tweener that I would probably stay away from that because I got to see if Mac Jones. I want to see what they can do. But the 8.5 is even more secure for me than the over. But I would, in normal times, I would have taken the over in this, but it's not normal because the 49ers lack of weapons. I'm not sure how much they can score tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But so we're both on the Rams minus 8.5 as we head in. But we'll be back tomorrow with you. Thanks to Triple E. Thanks to Laura. Thanks to you, Sean. We'll be back noon Central tomorrow, and we won't be late tomorrow. We will be on time. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.